can't lend you any more money, son. I'm sorry.
I got an idea.
We robbed that old lady. She's so rich, what do you think?
Hey! Just tell us where the jewelry is and we'll go.
I told you, we hit the jackpot.
She knows who I am. She's for sure gonna tell the cops.
We gotta kill her.
We have to do this now.
No witnesses.
What?
Watch her look, okay?
I need a sheriff at Old Highway 55. And nothing is as important as family.
No witnesses.
Boom, there you go. There is the trailer for The Surprise Visit. It is now playing in theaters and available on demand digital. And as you see on my screen, I'm delighted, excited to have some special guests, the stars, if you will, of The Surprise Visit. Serah Henesey, who plays Juliet in the film, as well as she's one of the producers and did a little bit of the story, which we'll dive into. I'm super excited to hear all about that. I have Rob Riordan, who plays Casey, and of course, Johnny Santiago, who is the husband to Juliet and plays Daniel. Thank you all for your time. I'm super excited to have you all here today to talk about this film, The Surprise Visit. Thank you for visiting me.
Thanks for having
us.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about how this film came together. I want to know the roots of this. I know it's based on a true story. So if I can throw it to Serah, because you were one of the producers on the film and you dabbled on putting together the story. Tell me how this all came together.
So the story all came together. We wanted to make a COVID-friendly film, and The Strangers is a favorite film of ours. Our film isn't similar to The Strangers, but we thought, you know, the whole film has 3 people in it and all the rest are in masks. So that's a very COVID-friendly film right there. So we wanted to come up with an idea of a film that we could make with a limited crew and a limited cast. And so we started there, and then the executive producer on the film, Nathan Coles, kept telling us there was this theft that occurred on this property. There was this theft that these drug addicts, you know, they broke in and they stole jewelry and you know, and I thought, and we were thinking about it, and we were like, well, you know, I'm sure it was very traumatic for everybody involved, but it's not, you know, it's not a very, you can't really make a film out of it. So we started off, it's based on a true story. The estate manager actually still works on the estate, and his son was a drug addict, and his son and his son's girlfriend broke into the property when the property was empty. Now, so it's the first half of the film is based on a true story, but we Hollywoodized the end.
I dig it. And I have to tell you all, I'm actually in Northern Virginia. I know you all are around. So when I saw that there was even a callback to it being in Loudoun County, if I'm not mistaken. And you all actually shot here as well in my state. So I'm quite curious and kind of like want to, you know, drive by and see this place that you filmed this at, because it's very beautiful and a great location to shoot at. So so tell me about when was this film? You shot this during pandemic to be, you know, in this time. Was this in 2021, 2020?
End of 2020. So it was the height of the pandemic. It was before vaccines.
Oh, wow.
So we had to keep a very, very tight crew. So there was a lot of heavy lifting for everybody involved. Our camera crew and, you know, all our crew, they kind of, they did the impossible. It was, and obviously our actors, and every time I watch them, I'm in awe.
Wow. I'm amazed because it's so beautifully shot. The pacing, editing, everything is so, it looks beautiful. It looks beautiful. I've seen a lot of indie films as a filmmaker and as a host and doing what I do. So kudos to that amazing team that you put together on this, Serah. So let's talk about casting this. So you helped put down the story after you kind of got the word about this beautiful place and what happened. Tell me about how you got the amazing Rob Riordan and Johnny Santiago to be a part of this, to lead them in.
So for the role of Annabelle, we looked at 3,000 girls. For the role of Casey, we looked at 2,000 young men, and I think we got it down to about four very talented young men. They were all wonderful. And then we had Zoom chemistry reads. I mean, imagine trying to do, because, you want to kind of see them on the same screen, but they're not even in the same room, and they can't, you can't reach out and touch them. And Nick and there was, I think, 3 other people in the audition, in the Zoom audition room. And then, so they all did their, audition, and then Nick asked them to go a little bit off script and do some improvisation, and Rob just knocked that out of the park. We were just like, wow, okay. he just really wowed us. He's very, very talented, very talented young man. So he's gonna go far.
Oh, shucks.
So Rob, talk to me about getting the sides and reading for this.
Oh my gosh, I was so excited. I was doing mostly stage before the pandemic hit. So when I got there was a huge break in between, the last time I had acted and this awesome opportunity. So I get this meaty script and I get to read for this amazing character who goes through this crazy shift in arc throughout, and I fell in love with it. I was like, oh, this guy, he actually, I get him, because he means well, but he keeps screwing up. Like he just can't get it right. He really is trying, and so I sympathize with that for some reason. And I was like, I fell in love with the character and him and Annabelle, and yeah. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. A lot of emotional depth and ups and downs that you can play with, which as an actor is always fulfilling. However, Johnny Santiago, Case, you play Daniel, and you're paired with Serah's Juliet. For the time you're there, I'm not going to spoil anything. A great face. It looks like you were ready for a nice weekend with your lovely wife, but something tragic goes down.
That guy. It was very. What was that, like the Brady Bunch? I'm pointing down to that box. That's
you're here for me.
Wait, I'm there? Okay, that guy. It was fun. It was a fun kind of quick shoot. I showed up after you guys were there probably like a week already shooting. I think, right? Mm-hmm. So it was fun to come out. I got a call from the director, Nick Lyon, who for many years, and we always try to do stuff together. And he calls me in the middle of the pandemic, like, "Hey, you want to read for this part? We're shooting in Virginia." And I was like, "Sure, why not?" So it was fun to It felt like Dexter getting on the plane though. Going out to meet you guys, I was in like this total jumpsuit, goggles,
hazmat,
double masks, and I'm like, "What am I doing?"
Was your plane also like really small? Mine was so small, and I remember being so paranoid.
No, you came from New York, no, from LA, and I was
right.
But so I showed up and took my COVID test and kind of waited around, and then got to meet everyone, and everyone was just great. Like, it was such a fun, small, cool crew that it was just a blast. It was a blast.
Great to hear. So I'm astounded by, as a filmmaker myself, how like you did Zoom castings and chemistry reads, to figure this all out, Serah. Can we talk about, now that we've cast these amazing characters, the process of filmmaking and rehearsals and then finally getting on set here? I'm assuming here in Virginia was where everything was shot.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I think finding the crew was very difficult in Virginia, because Virginia is not really a film kind of, a film. There's not much of an industry. It's not like New York or Los Angeles, where you can really find, a production designer or a makeup artist at the drop of a hat. So I think that part of it was a bit difficult for me at first. And I think we're about just 2 weeks before shooting, and I didn't even have half my crew in place. And I did have a moment of panic. I was like, oh God, I think I'm not going to be able to pull this off. But by the grace of God, we did. So it was, again, it was stressful because we had a limited crew and we had, 2 weeks to shoot it in. And, this was the first time for me producing a film from, I've worked in film production in various facets, but I haven't produced a film from beginning to end myself. So there were a few moments in there where I felt like, oh God, are we going to be able to pull this off really? And I remember the first day on set, I didn't have scenes that day. It was the day where Rob and Jackie were shooting the RV scenes, and I arrived and I didn't have scenes, so I was on set as a producer. So when I was either on set as an actor or as a producer. So I didn't sleep for a lot that whole month. I did not do a lot of sleeping, but it was a joyful kind of exhaustion. I got home every night and I was exhausted beyond, because my role was also very physical. I ran for miles every day, and when I wasn't running for my life, I was fighting for my life, and we had some action scenes, so it was a very physical role. So I was exhausted at the end of every day, but it was a joyful exhaustion from the standpoint of a producer, because I could see what we were shooting, and I was like, wow, we're getting some really good scenes in here, and the actors were all knocking it out of the park. So my first day on set, I arrived, and the sets looked fantastic. Our production designer, we had a one woman, she was like a one woman army. She did everything herself, and she was just fantastic. And
she's in Brooklyn now too with me. She lives in Brooklyn.
Oh, that's
awesome.
awesome. You have to give her a big hug from us, and
I will.
Thank you. We were just she did a fantastic job. So the sets looked amazing. I mean, the camera crew were doing an amazing job, and then the actors were just, there was a moment that first day on set, I walked on set and I was really in awe. I was like, oh God, we really pulled it off. Not only did we pull it off, everybody's doing just a fantastic job, because there's always, especially with crew, you hire people, but you're not sure if they're going to do a good job or not. Obviously with actors, you get to audition them, what they can do. But there was some moments in there where I thought, okay, there's always like one or two people who are really not, pulling their weight, but everybody was just doing a fantastic job. And I remember being really humbled. I was really humbled. I was like, wow, we got all these fantastically talented people to work with us, and I felt so thankful and really humbled. And
I love it.
that was my journey as a producer.
Awesome.
But I don't know how you guys felt.
Oh gosh, I mean, just the respect, our crew. I mean, we were like carrying the story, but they were carrying all of the equipment through the woods. The fog, and that fog machine was always so like giving us trouble. Like, it was so much.
Yeah.
It was amazing the way they were able to.
We had a fog machine that kept breaking down, and if your fog machine breaks down at 2 a.m. in LA, you can find one. In Virginia, not so. So we had some stressful elements.
So I have an actor question. When I get a script, and I'm looking over scenes, there's particular scenes that, kind of you like the scene that you really want to pull off. Mm-hmm. And so was there any similar situation for you guys with this particular project? Rob, I kind of have you in mind for just how your character has to go through so many ups and downs. I'm curious what it was for each of you. Johnny, you take a hit, with a flashlight. I don't know how you were prepping for that one, but for each of you, what was there a particular scene when you read the script and you like, that you kind of like were looking forward to the most when you got to a set to film it?
Yeah, I remember the one I had most like anticipation and like. I guess like I was like nervous about it. I was like, it was the scene with my dad, Eric Roberts. I was like, oh my gosh, this was my first feature film. Like this is the first feature film I ever did. So I was, and to, I'm acting with this like legend, and he's playing my father, and it was the first scene I shot with him too. I remember that and being just so like, okay, no, you got this. Like, and it was one of the audition sides too. So, yeah, I remember that one, like that scene, reading that scene gave me chills, and I knew that scene pretty well. So I felt pretty confident going into it, but I had like a lot of butterflies, I would say. And then, I guess I was also like, the fighting scenes, those were really fun and really like, and I just didn't know how because I'd done fighting for the stage, but I'd never done anything on film. I was like, I don't know how this works in this world. So, but we had these awesome stunt choreographers and, or stunt coordinators, and like getting hit with a shovel, it was a breeze. And being, thrown on a countertop. Johnny, you were awesome. I felt so safe. And yeah. So
I have to say that scene that you did with Eric, there's a reason why we asked you to audition with it. That was one of my favorite scenes in the whole film, because it's such an emotional scene. I mean, it's especially I think from Eric Roberts, from everybody's standpoint, and it's interesting because I had this conversation with another interviewer who loved that scene because his father was a drug addict. And he was like, that scene really hit me hard because it's so hard when you have somebody you love going through that, because obviously you want to help them, but you know that any money or anything you give them is going to go straight to drugs. So part of you wants to help and another part can't. And it's just such an internal struggle. So that was one of my favorite scenes. Well, it was your scene. It wasn't my scene. From my standpoint, okay, let me think of another one. Actually, Johnny, let's pass the baton to you. I'm going to come back.
Okay.
I'm going to think about that.
Let's see. Let's see. For me, I guess it was definitely like the fight scenes were fun. Just looking at when I was going through the script and everything, and then just having a blast with Rob. And then also it kept changing. So like it was supposed to be a completely different scene. Where it's supposed to be a different location, the whole thing. And then like the morning of, it's like, yeah, we're not going to do that. And they're like, Nick's like with the stunt coordinators. So yeah, let's figure something else out. 'Cause we have to shoot it inside now. And, and we're like, oh, okay. So, but that's making movies, things always get changed. So that was a blast. That was like a lot of fun. And then, just your scene with Eric, because I remember that was like the first day that Eric actually got on set, and just being able to, watch you guys work it out. I mean, it was just great. Like that made me the whole thing. I had this conversation with Jackie recently. I think we all learned a lot from Eric Roberts. I mean, just being in his vicinity, and he, obviously he has a wealth of information and experience. I think he has the biggest CV of any actor in America. So I think you just kind of learn a lot being around him, and he has this, and it's funny because Jackie, who plays Annabelle, said the same thing. I think, especially when you're a younger actor, you have this thing of like, oh, I don't want to be too selfish, and I don't want, I don't want to take up too much time. And sometimes you can rush your scene or your words a little bit. But with Eric, there's a gravitas there, and he's like, no, I'm going to take my time with this, and I'm going to take my beats. And so watching him in that sense was interesting. I think as a producer and as a person who obviously co-wrote the story, we wanted people to find empathy in all of the characters. I mean, with Rob's character, I mean, Casey, he might seem like the less sympathetic character because, he turns out to become a very nasty character, for want of a better word. Even with him, at the top of the film, you see him at his mother's graveyard, and you kind of understand maybe why he became addicted to drugs. And, and his father says again about him that he's a good kid, and his essence is a good kid, but he keeps making these wrong choices, which kind of
spiral out of control, and it's this snowball effect. You see it coming, but there's no real way of escaping, and there's no real way out of it. And he's, he's high, so his judgment is a little impaired as well. So he's got a lot of odds stacked up against him. With Jackie, Annabelle's character, at the top of the film, she finds out she's pregnant, so she has, her own motivations of doing what she's doing, and my character, which might seem again like not so much of a sympathetic character, because she's, she comes from a wealthy background. She was kind of born with a silver spoon in her mouth, and you might say, well, why do I care about her? But at the top of the film, she's in mourning. She's lost somebody very near and dear to her. And I don't care if you're rich or poor. I think mourning is a universal language. Everybody understands, everybody mourns the same. When we lose people we love, I don't care if you're rich or poor, you're sad. And so I think from the most, I think the scene I was most looking forward to, I really enjoy doing all the action stuff, actually. I love doing stunts. So that part was fun for me. I looked forward to doing that, and Rob made it fun as well. So that part was fun for me. I think the most interesting scene for me was the scenes I did with Jackie, with Annabelle, when I was taken captive, and I have to, at that point, I'm in a state of shock, but I have to kind of use my smarts to get myself out of this situation. And she's obviously the weakest link, because she's a woman, and she's, I understand that she's more nurturing and more caring. She doesn't want to do what Rob's character is suggesting they do. So, and part of me kind of feels like an older sister towards her. Obviously she comes from she doesn't have an education. She comes from a poorer background. So part of me wants to educate her and help her see what mistakes she's about to make with her life. So part of me feels like an older sister, but part of me obviously wants to survive. So the dichotomy of that, I think, was an interesting psychology to work on her with, to work with her on.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I love it. I think the chemistry and the casting was perfect, and everybody you had in place. What was it like, again, because you had to cast this through Zoom, with for you, Serah and Johnny, to play a couple, out the gate in meeting and getting that rapport, because you got to quickly establish this loving relationship, and then to balance yourself, Serah, with this attacker in Rob. I think it all played well. But could you tell me a little bit about trusting each other as actors, from the acting standpoint? So you quickly had to build out and show that between you, Serah, and Johnny, and your scenes, and then contrasting against Rob when you started filming those scenes.
I think it was a little bit a stranger for Johnny and I. Rob and Jackie arrived at the same time. And so they had spent a lot of time together, and they were also staying at the same hotel. So they were picked up together. They were dropped off together. So they had a lot of time, and their chemistry is really paramount to the film. So, and they pulled it off amazingly, and they were always going off and working on their lines and, working on their scenes together. And I just really loved watching them together, because it's so beautiful, the love and the care and the trust they established. Johnny and I, he arrived when we had already been shooting for, I think, a week, so we had to quickly establish that, and some kind of friendship and rapport and trust. And I don't know, Johnny, how did you feel?
Because we hadn't, I hadn't met you until I showed up. No, and you're great. I mean, you're just so cool and like easy. Like that was, you made it very easy to, feel, like in a safe environment, and just, to just, be as natural and open as possible, I mean, yeah, I was a little jealous, those two got to run around there spending all this time together, and, and like you never saw one without the other. But and my wife, she's out producing a film, so I don't really get to spend time with her that much. So,
Yeah.
eating a
Jackie.
lot of my own meals, things like that.
Yeah, Jackie and I were always like going, like, I don't know, I always would find her at like by a tree doing like some kind of dance, and then you want to run lines, and we'd end up sitting by the tree or something.
Yeah.
She's like a little fairy sprite. It's awesome.
She is. She is. You guys are so good together. Wow. I loved it. They should pair you up again in other films.
Oh, I'd love it.
You make
She's
a great
so fun.
couple.
Awesome. So, Serah, this is again your first time producing. You've been an actor and doing a lot of different work here and there, and like you said, dabbled in and out of crewing in other respects in other positions. But now here's your first time like full on producing. Can you tell me the biggest lesson you learned and this challenge of having to come with it as Juliet and act, and then also making sure everything else is fine on set?
Wow, it was challenging, but I've been making films for 25 years, so I understand the pre-production part of it, and I understood the on-set stuff. It was and I've been in editing rooms, and I've done editing as well, so I understand that a little bit. But the post-production stuff was very, very foreign to me, all the technical stuff, and that stuff I didn't know. So I let somebody else do all of that. But I think, trying to put together a film crew in Virginia in the middle of a pandemic was difficult. And I remember we were trying to find a unit production manager, and we were 2 weeks before we were supposed to start shooting. And I found one woman in Virginia who had made really big, like Hollywood films, like $50 million productions. And so I kind of tentatively, I was a little cautious calling her up and saying, well, we're doing this little indie film and it's a low budget film. And she's like, well, I've worked on a low budget. It was a $2 million budget. And I didn't want to tell her, well, ours wasn't quite 2 million either. I mean, it looks like a $2 million film because we shot on these amazing, sets and locations that are really kind of fancy. And they look like, they cost $1 million, but it was an indie film. And so, but I didn't want to tell her that, but she said, and I produced it on time, and I produced it under budget as well. And I was like, well, that's great. And she said, well, how much pre-production time do you have? And I said, well, we're going to start shooting in 2 weeks. And I could sense her tensing up on the other end of the phone. And she said, well, you should really have like at least 2-3 months of pre-production. And I went, well, lady, we don't have that kind of time or budget. We are starting in 2 weeks. And she said, it can't be done. That's what she said to me. She said, it can't be done. She said, and you do realize that you are going to be playing one of the leads. And, by the time you get to set, you're going to be so tired and so haggard. We're going to affect your performance. And they're going to look at your performance and say, well, they're not going to say, well, she was producing the film, that's why she was tired and, she's underperforming. They're going to look at your performance and say, and I thought to myself, well, my character is kind of supposed to be a little bit haggard. I am fighting for my life here. So I think I'll be okay. I didn't want to tell her. But I was like, well, lady, we're doing this with or without you. So yeah, there was some challenges, the time constraints, and obviously not being able to find as much crew as we'd like, but we again, by the grace of God, and we had some divine intervention. That's what I keep saying. And interestingly enough, it just all pulled together amazingly, and everybody who was on set did such an amazing job. And I'm just very, very in gratitude. I don't know what else to say. Yeah.
Well, knowing a little bit of behind the scenes and from this conversation, as a film fan, as a filmmaker, I think you did an immaculate job. I think it was great. I was surprised. And funny enough, it's called The Surprise Visit, and especially the ending. And we're not going to get into spoilers, but I think you did a fantastic job and getting that, as an actor, and now, putting that producer hat on for this. This was a lot of fun. And Johnny and Rob, thank you for participating in this conversation as well, Serah. I have one last fun question, if you will. So if your characters did what they did, but if you were in this situation for yourselves, would you, what kind of choices do you think would have made? Because that was like a key thing for me watching this, and because I was like up and down as a viewer, as a fan, as we started off earlier, before we started recording. It's all about choices. And I thought it was very interesting, but I was pleasantly surprised at the end, and it kind of turned me around with this. And maybe another visit to Johnny's credit with the next, hopefully.
We're going to make a sequel. Johnny comes back.
Spoiler alert. Oh, no.
What kind of decisions you would make if you were in this if this was a real scenario that you, scary. It's a scary thing to see somebody in your house, but decision wise, dude.
Who, me?
Yeah, for all of you.
Oh, yeah, I would have done the same thing in real life. Yeah. Yeah.
You had no weapon though. You didn't go down with anything, Johnny. You didn't grab anything. You just went down.
I did grab some. Finally, I grabbed something.
I don't recall you having a weapon.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally had a weapon.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go back.
Yeah, it was a good weapon.
Is it as if we were in the same position, like as our characters?
Oh, that's right, Rob. You were the bad guy. So
right. So like,
so would you be doing different drugs in real life?
That's right. I'm sorry.
I don't know if meth is my drug. I don't think meth isn't for me. I feel like, I don't know. I don't see.
Would have you made the same choice, or would you have listened to your dad, Eric Roberts, and Oh,
I would have gotten a job.
Yeah.
Would have been like, okay,
you were too quick to make this rush decision.
Yeah. Well, because you see too, there's that part. Well, I can't. No spoilers, but yeah, my father he's looking out for me in that film more than I think he is what exactly. I'll say. and I should have trusted that, Yes. So anyway, that's all I'll say.
Serah, would you have came down with something? Because I don't recall you both having weapons. That bothered me. But I guess Johnny said you had a weapon.
Johnny had a weapon. Johnny had the fire poker.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay. Got it.
He had the fire poker.
Okay.
Yeah. What would I have done?
Would you have came back with the weapon? I'm sorry. This isn't spoilers, but later on in the film, you have a weapon. Yes, but your choice to go. Weapon,
I probably wouldn't have gone.
I questioned that choice.
Yes, I questioned that choice as well. The thing is, because Juliet's character, she comes from a very privileged background. She hasn't been accustomed to, drug addicts or people who are down and out, So in her mind, I understand where she's coming from. In her mind, Casey is somebody she knew as a child, and she thinks she can win him over. She doesn't go out there because she thinks she's going to harm him with her weapon. She's like, I'm going to win him back. I'm going to get him to surrender. And so I'm going to save him, she's like, I know you have a drug problem. I'm going to save you. I want to get you treatment or whatever, in her mind, she thinks she's going to save him. But in reality, if I had that choice, once I had a weapon in my hand, I would not have gone back after him. No,
you got a weapon now. You're safe. I was like, you're safe now. Don't go. Where are you going?
I wouldn't have gone after him.
Yes. Thank you, Serah. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Rob. I really appreciate it, giving me a little bit of this insight. Everybody, I hope you all check out Surprise Visit. It's available right now and in theaters. Where can we see the rest of you all? Is there any other projects we'd love show? I'd love to show love and light on, and also, if not, how we can reach out to you, follow you guys, so my fans can now be your fans and they can check out what you got going on in the future. Johnny, I'll start with you.
You can find me on Instagram at thejohnnysantiago.com. And right now I'm shopping something around. So I'm actually trying to go Sarah's route and actually work on producing something. So yes, that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Awesome. Thanks,
Yeah,
Johnny.
yeah. So I'm going to be calling you for some pointers.
Okay, anytime.
Rob, how about you?
Well, I have something fun in the works I can't talk about yet, and you can check out my Instagram, Rob_Riordan, let's see. There's I wrote and directed and shot my own short film called Nova Ovum, and you can check the Instagram out for that, Nova Ovum_film on it. Yeah, and that's a fun little like sci-fi comedy. So
Awesome. Thank
yeah.
you, Rob. And Serah, all this work, can you tell me how we can reach out to you and just everything you've learned from this amazing works? And if we can see more of this, are you going to dip your hand into more of this kind of combo acting, executive producing type of
Yeah, so I do have another film that I am going to try and produce, hopefully this year if I can. It's another thriller. And so fingers crossed on that one. And I also have another Christmas film that I want to make because everybody loves Christmas films and maybe something more light and fun. And other than that, I'm auditioning for things just like every other actor. And and you can check me out on Instagram. I'm at Serah Henesey, and it's Serah with an E. So Serah Henesey is my Instagram username.
Awesome. Well, this was truly a delight. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Serah. I'll have that information in the description below for people to check you guys out, give you all a follow. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you all for checking this out. NRW, Nerds Rule the World, Serah Henesey, Rob Riordan, Johnny Santiago. Surprise Visit is out right now. Go check it out. It's it's available streaming and in theaters from Vertical Entertainment. Surprise Visit. Thank you guys so much. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
it.